This is The Feels with John Hill.
Hi, Tori. It's John.
Hi, John. How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you for coming to the show again. You made my life a couple years ago when you came on for Native Invader.
Oh, thanks for having me again, John. Really. We had a blast, if I recall.
Yeah, we did. And then I came to your show, and I'm one of the few people you never let people backstage. I got to come back, and I dragged my friend Lady J with me, and I have to say, that was great, but I do feel like we kind of cornered you and screamed at you after the show. We gave you a crystal. We said we couldn't stop talking. I looked back on it. I was like, you know what? We really just cornered her and screamed at her. So thank you, and I'm sorry at the same time.
I loved being cornered by you and Lady J. How lucky am I?
It was so good. It's such a good concert. You're back. Ocean to Ocean is the new album. I have to say, I'm not the type of person who likes to eavesdrop on conversations, but because of connections and because we share a studio with Sandy Bernhardt, I got to overhear a little bit of you guys wrapping up. And when I tell you, that made my life, my gay man's life. When I heard, I got a bootleg copy. This is before bootlegs were bootlegs, like a tiny little flimsy CD of Without You I'm Nothing, Little Red Corvette, when I was 15 years old in San Antonio, Texas. That made its way to me somehow, and I heard it and said, this is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. I didn't know it was you till recently singing back up on that song. How did you first meet Sandy Bernhardt?
I was a jobbing BV everything in LA at the time. So doing the demo of Show Me Heaven, I did the demo for that before the great performance by Maria McKee.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was doing those things around LA, and Joe Ciccarelli pulled me in, the great producer Joe, to work with Sandy, and that's how I met her for the first time.
Gosh. Iconoclast. That was my dream just now, to hear you guys chatting about the old days. I'm so glad I've been thirsty for a new album for so long. Obviously we had the pandemic, and you've said recently this album was born out of the third UK lockdown, correct?
Correct.
And also, you had written another album that you scrapped.
Yes.
And why was that?
It wasn't resonating with me after the final months of 2020 and the first month of 2021. I just thought, okay, wherever I was, it was good intentions, mm-hmm. but it just wasn't the right energy. And I can't express it. It feels a little bit abstract to say it in those terms, but it wasn't propelling me where I knew I needed to go. I felt exhausted mm-hmm. after the end of 2020 and after January 6th and the aftermath of that. And it was just, okay, this divisiveness, I've got to step out of this. And Sandy and I talked about that, about shedding that. Because it's one thing to stand by your causes, but how you do that, how you create a place for people to step into this force field with you, that was mm-hmm. the challenge. And I knew that I wasn't stepping into the force field with the older material. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were bits and pieces. I won't, of course, as a writer, I've been writing for 4 years, since 2017. So there might be bits and pieces, 8-bar phrase or 2-bar phrase that kind of were nuggets that I could hang on to, or a little concept or 2 words here and there. You know what I mean? But yeah. I needed to step away from that and into this new energy. And I didn't know how to get there at first. I couldn't just flip my switch. I don't know how to do that. I need to find it, mm-hmm. usually through observing, and then the songs themselves taking me to these new places.
Sure. And what was daily life like before it was, 24/7 album making? Were you doing what the rest of us did, like learning how to make banana bread? Were you learning new skills? What were you doing during the pandemic?
I was learning to make vegan food because my daughter's a vegan and so is my husband. But I'm not saying I'm very good at it, but we would pitch in and find joy in that. There was something in the exchange of that. But what I was doing really, I was researching. I read a lot of books about people and their relationship with nature. So that kind of got me into thinking, wow, how do trees communicate? Because there were books about this and the fungi network under the trees. And that really started to get me excited by the way that they're able to communicate and we as humans weren't communicating so well with each other.
Right.
So that I need to learn from the trees.
And that makes sense. The first single off the album, Ocean to Ocean, is Speaking with Trees. Is that the first song that came to you?
No, Metal Water Wood.
Which is my
first...
favorite, I have to say.
Which is the first Finnish song. The words birthday baby came before that because my niece's birthday, she's a January girl. So the very, very end of January. But the song couldn't write itself. It wasn't ready to write itself until quite a few of the others came forward and took me to nature. I wasn't able to write about sometimes in life a girl must tango alone and write that song for my niece, Kelsey, who was in New York City dealing with the pandemic at 29 years old. So, Metal Waterwood was the first song that was completed.
Wow. So 29 years, that's also a song on the album.
Yes.
Right? And I'm still stuck when you said January Girl. Is that a Black Dove reference?
Yes. She is my January girl, Kelsey.
Wow.
My
And
niece,
then this is amazing. And then I would also think Swim to New York State is also maybe a connection there if she was in New York while you were in Cornwall during the pandemic.
There is a connection because she's a Hollyhock. That's what we call our family team, the Hollyhocks. And she is one of us. And she was in New York. And the story is really about a Cornish, somebody from Cornwall who has his heart broken and leaves because
it's a beautiful song. From the first note, heartbreakingly beautiful.
Thank you. It's a bit of a love letter to my husband.
It's gorgeous. And maybe this album is an exploration, a celebration of your auntiness.
Oh, maybe. Hey,
Kelsey.
Tell me about that. What's the auntiness? Tell me.
Of you being an auntie, of you being, of your niece and Kelsey in New York, and I feel like I'm embracing my uncleness, as I get older, This is also the album. Well, first I have to ask, can you tell us anything about a U.S. tour? I know you're going to Europe.
Yes, in February 2022, we start in Berlin.
Okay.
One of my favorite places.
Yes.
And the goal is to get to the States. That's the hope and the goal. End of spring-ish, summer. But it's all, I can't announce it yet because it's just coming together since we had to kick that down the road twice. Not once, but twice.
Right. And that's got to be a bummer for you. I know that you thrive on live performance, as we do, the audience. It's, as you've always said, it's a give and take. It's a exchange.
It's an exchange. And that exchange, it's been the longest since I've been out collaborating in that way.
Yeah.
So I think there was a grief, if I'm honest with you. I think that was something that was very much percolating there in January when everything else was happening and the world was going mad. And it was like, and there's no live music. And there's no live music in sight. And it's like, okay.
And you're stuck
Tori.
inside with banana bread.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, a lot of people found psychological roadblocks. I think the people who weren't depressed became depressed. People who were depressed started to thrive. Everything was jumbled up.
Yeah, everything was jumbled. That's right. Because in the first lockdown, Hollyhocks were good. We were rocking.
I loved it.
We were rocking. you know, but by the third one, and, you know, album, nah, it's not going to happen. Tour, not going to happen. Then all the madness and the climate crisis and then it was just, okay, I need something different. I need to step into a different frequency. But then it's, how do you do that? Because I think some people have worked on certain tools to just propel themselves into a different space and have worked on that and can. I couldn't do that last January 2020. This past January, I couldn't flip that switch. Now with the songs, it's easier for me to step into it because I operate sonically, really.
Yeah.
And so with the record, they've helped me to be able to travel, because I haven't been able to physically really travel. So I can travel now sonically because of the songs, and they take me all through the galaxy, and they take me to the Southwest with Devil's Bane, and they take me to different places. We swim across the ocean.
Yeah.
We do this stuff. And so that now I'm able, through the songs having taught me, to take myself out of a moment of, hey ho, okay, let's step into this. Let's go.
What is the tour going to look like, different, just physically, in terms of, you know, when you go to Europe and vaccine mandates and masks and things like that? How are you looking forward to that? Do you feel like it will be a huge difference, or will you just roll with it?
Well, you know, day by day, things are changing. We'll have a COVID compliant officer on the road. We have to. That's just part of when you have.
So testing all the time.
For us,
Yeah,
my team, absolutely, because there are people that have agreed to come out on tour if it's a safe place. Some people have, you know, their concerns, their health concerns.
Sure.
And so, you know, I'm double vaxxed, and
Same.
I've been vaccinated since I was, you know, a pea shoot next to a grasshopper. So
Yeah.
I come from, my sister's a doctor, and she's like, you know, come on. Please don't listen to anything. If you don't think whatever cockamamie nonsense is out there, if you don't think that somebody wants to spy on you,
Right.
they can spy on you if they want to, without that, with your phone.
Right.
With your phone.
Oh, the
you
things
nuts?
people have seen around there, you know, who knows what people are listening to. You have to just live your life like there's a camera on you at all times. I think.
Yeah, at all times. And sometimes I'll just say, MI5, hi. Call me maybe.
So you spoke about there being you recorded the album with your band, Matt and John, who were contributing remotely and sending in files. Were you playing simultaneously to record this album, or were they sending files in and you would listen and tweak, or how did it work to get the album finished with people you hadn't played with in so long?
Okay, so Mark and I would, and we've been doing this since '95 with Boys for Pele, but in different, you know, ways. Sure. So we would record a keyboard track, whichever one we were relating to at the time, Rhodes, B3, Busendorfer, CP80. It was all set up in the control room, which is 2 doors down. And then we would send that to Matt with a shaker or something, a click track or a tempo map or whatever. And then Matt Chamberlain would play some drums and send some ideas. And he's 8 hours behind. So he would send it overnight, and then our morning we would respond, so that by his morning he would make the tweaks and then send it back. And then I would do a master take to him. I'd play to him. And then it'd go back across the ocean to John Evans, who's in Cape Cod, playing bass. And then that would come back. And then we'd do stuff, and then it might go to John Philip Chanel, who I've been working with Philly for 1,000 years, since Little Earthquakes.
Wow.
And then it would come back from Philly, and then Mark, we would sweeten it with the guitars and then the BVs. And Tash came and sang on 3 tracks with the BV choir on Devil's Bane. So that's what was that was our process. And then the mixing happened here with Adrian Hall, and then the mastering with John Astley. So Martian was sort of like the TARDIS, like Mission Control.
So truly an ocean to ocean production.
Yes, it was Atlantic to Pacific. That's right.
Wow. It's incredible. Tori, I wish we had more than 15 minutes every 2 years, but I'll take what I can get. But we have to wrap up. But there's not a day that goes by that I'm not grateful for you and the impact
John.
your music has had on my life. And Lady J says hello, and does Brian Nash, and my friend Nina, and Abdi, and all of the people who love you. And we have our little clubs. But
send
I wish
all
you
my
the
love
best.
to all of them, all of them.
I will. I'm going to
All
clip
of
this out and send them today.
Clip this out. That Brian Nash. I want to hear tunes.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
I was during the pandemic, he would do his live request piano nights of just Tori. Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for him in that because I didn't have the energy to do that.
Well, maybe we'll be able to see you do it live. Yeah.
But he
Always
did.
the best. Thank you so much. Congrats on Ocean to Ocean. Everybody go get it ASAP, and the vinyl coming out soon. ToriAmos.com. Love you, love you, love you, Tori. Thank you so
Love
much
John.
for being here. I hope I see you soon.